In the city of Komrat, Moldova, 21-year-old medical student Anna Leikovic had ambitions of becoming Moldova's next biggest influencer. At her peak, she had gained 10,000 followers over on Instagram. Technically, it was 15,000, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. On Instagram, she posted bikini shots by the pool, was spotted outside of high-end fashion stores, and even travelled across the world, showing her followers how great her life was. But if it's one thing about Instagram or social media in general, and by now it really has become the norm, is that Instagram isn't real life, and although some people do portray a happy life on social media, deep down inside, they're not that happy at all away from the internet. Again, this doesn't categorize everyone, but it has been a reoccurring theme over the past 10 years or so. And Anna, well, she didn't necessarily fall into that category for the most part. She lived a good life. Again, she was a medical student and was said to have had a good relationship with her family members and her boyfriend. She lived at home with her 40-year-old mother, Praskovya Leikovic, and their relationship was described as a loving one. Praskovya trying to spend as much time with her daughter as she could. This was all about to change though in December of 2020. According to some local reports, who I assume picked up on police reports, they claimed that at some point towards the end of 2020, Praskovya had become suspicious that Anna had started to take drugs. You see, in November of 2020, an ambulance was called to the family home after Anna had overdosed on drugs, her grandma adding she didn't obey anyone and led a lifestyle abusing drugs and alcohol. I do believe in November of 2020 though, Praskovya had been working away in Germany, and upon arriving back to the family home in December of 2020, it's thought that she arranged for Anna to go to a rehab facility centre pretty much straight away. But reports claim that Anna had flipped out. She became very angry at the fact that her mum had arranged for her to go to rehab. Police believe this argument led to Anna arming herself with a knife, where she launched a ferocious attack on her own mother. But this wasn't just an ordinary knife attack, as bizarre as that sounds. This was 10 times more gruesome than anyone could ever imagine. Anna had stabbed her mother multiple times, leaving her for dead, but by the time she had finished the initial attack, believe it or not, Praskovya was still alive. From here, she then proceeded to cut her own mother's heart out and gouged out other internal organs, including her lungs and intestines. Talking of the incident, police would go on to say, it's hard to believe, but she cut out the heart in the most literal sense of the word. After the killing, police say that Anna took a shower to wash off the blood, then went to a boyfriend's house to drink champagne. I guess in a sense to maybe celebrate what had just happened. Her boyfriend was none the wiser as to what had happened though, because after the couple had drank, Anna told him what she had done. But when he quizzed her further, she refused to answer any questions. Shocked by her confession, he waited for her to fall asleep and then went to a house to check to see if her mother was dead and she had stabbed her. Once stumbling across the crime scene, he went straight to the police and reported her. She was subsequently charged in relation to the murder investigation and appeared before a court.
Вы не понимаете, что вы сделали? Вы почему убили свою маму? Вы убили свою маму?
Вы сожалеете о том, что вы сделали?
In court, she was depicted cleaning her nails in the dark. Then when the judge entered the courtroom, she stood up on the bench. When a journalist asked her whether she killed and mutilated her own mother, she laughed and replied, "Goodbye." But this was all back in December of 2020, near enough a year ago now. I'm recording this video in December of 2021. So the reason this story is in the news once again is because she's actually been sentenced to serve time in a psychiatric hospital. In a recent court hearing, the forensic psychiatric examiner said of Anna, quote, "She was not able to correctly perceive the circumstances that are important for the criminal case and was unable to testify in the case. As a result of the medical finding as to her mental state, she was committed to a mental institution after the court accepted that while she had carried out the crime, she was not criminally responsible for her actions." But even until now, we still don't really know what the exact motive was other than that vague report of an argument breaking out over sending Anna to rehab. Even if that is the exact motive, I still think it's pretty wild that a daughter went on to stab her own mother to death and then cut her heart out over quite literally being sent to rehab. Did the drugs consume her life that much she couldn't even stand the thought of going to rehab? Maybe so. Or did Anna have some kind of underlying mental health issues and the drug use brought them to light? Because committing such a gruesome act on a family member is the only suggestion I can think of. At the end of the day, if the state has sent her to a mental facility for her to serve her time there, even though we don't have in-depth reports about her mental state, if you do put two and two together, there's most definitely been some kind of diagnosis. Now, remember at the start of the video where I said her peak following was 10,000, but technically it was 15,000. Well, believe it or not, after she was in the news for this whole situation, she had gained an extra 5,000 followers in the space of an extremely short amount of time. Now, I can't give you an exact date, but her Instagram has since been deleted, and rightly so.